What up, Cavs Nation? I'm your host, Ethan Sands, and I'm back with another episode of the Wine and Gold Talk podcast. Yes, it's a solo dolo episode of the podcast, as it's just me. But before you click off this episode, I want to let you know that I will be incorporating different interviews and sound from conversations that I've had throughout the day with Kenny Atkinson, the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and a multitude of different players with the Cleveland Cavaliers as they have improved to 31-4. 10 straight wins by double digits. It's the first time in franchise history. I thought it would only be fair that since it's just me, that I will also include other voices for you guys to hear. So stay tuned, keep up with me. Here we go. The Cavs pulled out yet another win, 115-105 against the Charlotte Hornets on Sunday night. They won their 31st game of the season in just 35 games this year. It's the second time in Cavs history they've had two winning streaks of 10 games or more in a season. It also happened in the 2008-2009 year. Of course, nobody forgets the 15-0 streak that the Cavs started with this year. Here's a little bit of a breakdown from tonight's matchup. It was a trap game, and the Cavs knew that coming in. And I think Max Strus delved into it better than I could on how the Cavs headed into the contest after such a long stretch where they came off a 4-game road trip against all Western Conference opponents. We know they swept their opponents going 4-0, but they also are 10-0 against the West Coast after the game against the Dallas Mavericks on Friday. Kenny Atkinson even mentioned that he was worried about this one because the Cavs got into their beds around 6 a.m. on Friday, and although they were able to rest up on Saturday, it's not the same as a regular rest day because of how your body is still recovering from the game played the night before without adequate sleep, which is a huge, huge element for recovery. But the Cavs handled business on Sunday night. Hear from Max Strus on their mindset coming into tonight's game after 9 days away from home.
It's definitely a trap game, but the way that we approach every day here, the way that our guys have come to work every single day, no matter what the scenario is, we just approach it with a championship mindset and take it one day at a time and one game at a time and treat each game like it's the most important game. So we did that today and took care of business.
To be back at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, the fans were screaming, and the Cavs brought them their first win at home in the new year. And they had fun while doing it, as this Cleveland Cavaliers team does, including a little point guard duel that we love to see in today's NBA. This time, it was between Darius Garland and LaMelo Ball. They went back and forth, and Kenny Atkinson was all for it.
I love it. It's the NBA. The guys are competitive. It's like, you're in the schoolyard and you're competing against your opposition and guys talk a little trade. Didn't get over the top. They're both good spirited guys. I thought it added a little intrigue to the game. It is an entertainment league too, so I think the fans got a kick out of it. So like you said, two competitors talking a little trash. I don't have a problem with it.
So here's a little play breakdown of what happened to ignite this matchup. So LaMelo Ball and Darius Garland are always talking it up, doing some smack talk back and forth. It's a part of Darius Garland's game that he says that he enjoys, and it allows him to play at a different level. But he began to put actions to words in the first quarter, guarding LaMelo 94 feet. On an inbound play, Darius gave LaMelo a slight shove that LaMelo reacted to a little bit egregiously, falling on the floor. And that's basically what ignited this entire quote-unquote duel. This was then accelerated in the second quarter, where recognizing the height mismatch, obviously, LaMelo being 6'7", Darius Garland being just 6'1", LaMelo attacked Darius with intent, as Darius has been attacked for a majority of the season by oversized players that think that they can get the upper hand against Darius. LaMelo got a little bucket, a mid-range shot that kind of rattled around before it going in, prompting LaMelo to trot back on defense with so much smack top to Darius. it got to the point where LaMelo's teammate had to drag him, or maybe redirect him might be a better word, back to his defensive assignment on the other end. But that didn't really matter because Darius was already in hot pursuit. Darius orchestrated a switch to isolate LaMelo, then hit him with a little snatchback dribble into a mid-range pull-up that left LaMelo a little bit stumbly. Darius went back on defense, clapping his hands as he does. And as LaMelo was running down the court, he was furiously waving his hand for the ball, trying to get back at Darius. He got the ball, got the shot attempt, but he missed the three-pointer. So after that, Darius kind of had the upper hand, and the Charlotte Hornets recognized that. So they were tired of it. They went and doubled Darius, and it kind of ended the little one-on-one matchup that LaMelo Ball seemingly started and was trying to continue. But Darius and Ty went back and forth in the locker room after the game on the topic of the double team and why the Hornets felt the need to do that. Listen in on that conversation as it's a funny one for sure.
Darius.
What's up, bro?
Wow. It felt like you guys were kind of in the backyard, you and LaMelo going back and forth, trying to figure out who was going to have the upper hand. When it comes to just being able to have fun in the game, what does that remind you of when you get to go against someone like that?
Thank you. That is a phenomenal. Thank you.
Way to word that.
Great question.
Great job.
It's cool.
Did you think anything got in the way of that today?
Of the what?
Oh, like the battle. Like, was anything like?
It was a battle.
Like, did anything get in the way of
Did
it?
anything interrupt the battle?
In the second quarter, like their coach or like any scheme, like anything like that.
I mean, in the flow of the game, I don't think it was a battle, but like in the flow of the game. No, I mean. I ain't talking shit. Man, beat it, man. Nah, it was. What's the question again?
Did you feel like you guys was going at it at all, and anything getting in the way?
No, we wasn't really going at it. I mean, he tried to get like a one-on-one matchup, and he got like a little weak bucket.
Right.
And yeah, we tried to go back down.
Trying to spearhead every guard that's on the ballot right now.
No, for sure, that's a fact. But
that's a fact. I'll say
any
put them in a body bag, each and every one of them.
Right.
So yeah, he got a bucket, bro.
And then you said
I went down. Yeah,
right.
I went down trying to get a little one-on-one matchup.
And what happened?
They sent the double team.
Okay.
And it happened a couple of times after that, so it wasn't really a battle.
That's a credit to you though. Like you know.
No, it's respect.
Get the ball out of your hands.
For sure, it's a respect thing. Even though we was playing one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
even though I got doubled on my end, you know what I'm saying? But it's all good.
I'm done. I think.
I just got double teamed, bro. So I couldn't like reciprocate the same energy that he tried to do to me. I couldn't reciprocate the same on the other end because I was getting double teamed. But it's like Ty said, it's a respect thing though. So I'll take the double team, I guess, even though it wasn't fun.
This matchup may have meant a little bit more for Darius. And to me, it proved a point because we talk about this all-star voting that is happening right now when it comes to the fan vote. The first fan return came out just a couple days ago, and LaMelo Ball led the guards for the Eastern Conference. He was even ahead of Donovan Mitchell, who was second on that list. This may surprise some folks because of not only the injuries that LaMelo Ball has dealt with, but also the fact that he's on a team with 7 wins. Darius Garland was also left off this first fan return all-star voting as he wasn't in the top 10. So it showed itself a little bit more in tonight's matchup than their previous matchups earlier into the season. So it also showed that the Charlotte Hornets understood that they could not let Darius Garland isolate LaMelo Ball, and the Cavs were seemingly perfectly fine with letting LaMelo do his thing, which is chuck up shots. But to take advantage of Darius's height, that was LaMelo's goal, but that doesn't usually work out in favor of the opposing team, as we've learned this season when it comes to Darius's defense, because he's walled up and defended well against better players than LaMelo, like Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics and Jaylen Brown and those kinds of players who the Cavs have done this switchable defense to prevent the scoring and to challenge these opposing teams as well. It was another opportunity for Darius to show another area where he's grown. And Darius was vocal about wanting to be selected for his second All-Star game, saying he has plans already to be in San Francisco. It was really a pick your poison situation for the Charlotte Hornets when you talk about tonight's game, because they could either allow Darius to isolate LaMelo, who's a subpar defender at best, or they could double Darius and allow him to use his vision and create opportunities with his creativity for his teammates that way. And the most important stat from tonight's game, to me, it's not in the stat sheet. It's the hockey pass or the hockey assist, whereas when a player passes to a person with the intention of them passing to the next guy for a bucket. Sometimes it's considered a swing, all those different things. While Darius Garland finished with just 2 assists, his situation with LaMelo Ball, the isolation little one-on-one that didn't last all that long, and Darius's IQ created opportunities through the hockey or swing pass. And that showed itself in the box score. I know the hockey assist isn't in there, but when it comes to the Cavs ending the game with 29 assists on 44 made field goals, the Hornets had 19 assists. They played more iso ball, and of course, that hurt them against a Cavs team that had 3 or 4 different players that were above 15 points in tonight's contest. Even in a game where the Cavs weren't hitting shots as they're used to this season, they were still able to come away with the win. Kenny Atkinson talked about that and how the Cavs defense stood tall tonight behind Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and a lot of different good switchable defense principles that they've been utilizing throughout this entire season. That kind of ties into the point that was made even before the game tipped off by Hornets head coach Charles Lee as he compared the Cavs to the 2015-2016 Golden State Warriors and how they operated and even invoked fear into their opponents. So you might be asking why that conversation came about. The reason? Because the Cavs are on a 70-plus win pace, with the record being 73, obviously held by the 2015-2016 Warriors that ended up losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA Finals. So, although this is something that the Cavs are not necessarily focused on, as they are more focused on the playoffs rather than these regular season games, they're still having the same kind of fear for their opponents.
Yeah, I definitely think those Warriors teams, you definitely had a lot of fear when they walked into the building. But how they played is a little bit different than how this Cavs team plays. And I think that this team is, just as scary as those teams were because of how they go about playing offense. Like, I think that they just have a great depth. They have a really good system of how they play. They're trusting the pass and trusting each other. Respecting space whenever it comes to an isolation situation or a mismatch. Then you have the bigs that are kind of dominating the paint and offensive rebounding. You have great complementary guys that are coming off the bench. So a lot of different weapons, I feel like, offensively for them to use. I definitely think that they do a really good job of making you pay for your mistakes, which is probably what some of that pressure is. When you have 5 guys on the floor at all times that are a threat, and you know that if your pick and roll coverage isn't tight, they're going to be able to exploit something. We talked about with our team today, if you're going to switch, you can't give a pocket because Garland's going to shoot the pocket 3. And so that's pressure to make sure that every exchange is a clean exchange and you're mindful of how you're getting out to the 3. If you're in center field and the big slips and he gets behind you, it's a lob. And so, yes, I think that it's different than Steph Curry coming over half court and having that fear, or he's running all over and Clay is doing the same. And a lot of those guys were just complementary offensive players to help screen and DHO and stuff. So it's a different type of pressure. But yes, they have such a great complement of offensive players and skill sets that they make you pay if you aren't tight with everything that you do.
This goes back to when Los Angeles Lakers head coach J.J. Redick mentioned that the opposing team has to play a nearly perfect game against the Cavs to have any kind of luck or success against them. And that's interesting because how much these teams are preparing for the Cavs, especially when the Cavs aren't really all that worried about each regular season game. And Kenny Atkinson said this before the game, I believe, when he talked about how if they were losing more games and were looking to try and fight for a 5th or 6th seed in the Eastern Conference, then they will be more focused on the regular season. But because of their standing, because of their trajectory, they are able to focus more so in the long term and look to the playoffs, because there is obviously still the sting of 2 years ago against the New York Knicks, the first round exit, and also this past season against the Boston Celtics. And I think it was interesting that Charles Lee, who was the head coach of the Charlotte Hornets this year, was also a part of that Boston Celtics team last year and gave praise to what the Cavs have been able to do this year in comparison to last year, and also how last year's playoff experience has helped them. So listen into that.
Defensively, when you can switch 1 through 5 if you really needed to, it seems like even some of the guys that have been targeted or looked at as weak links are holding their own water too. I definitely think that it's a credit to the players. There seems like there's been great growth, even as I came in here last year with the Celtics. Watching them a year later, I think that playoff run and that experience really helped them. They took that kind of like personal challenge, I think, to get better during the summer and figure out what were the things that hurt us in the playoffs. And now you're seeing them kind of just go after it on this tear right now during the regular season.
So, yeah. The Cavs are focused on the big picture, and Kenny Atkinson has reiterated that and gone into detail on countless occasions, because sometimes he doesn't even know the stats about these different runs and historic feats that the Cavs are on until the media brings it to his attention in those media sessions. Those aren't my words. Those are his words. Although the Cavs have said that they don't focus on any one game, Wednesday's contest against the OKC Thunder is as big as they come, as both teams are on a franchise record tear, and it would be a preview of a potential NBA Finals. Obviously, the Cavs are on their 10-game win streak. The Thunder, 15-game win streak, longest in franchise history for them as well. So, I'll end the episode with a quote from Darius about the Cavs' goals and where they want to be come April, May, and June.
We're all winners on this team. We've all won at a pretty high level, from elementary school AAU to college with Ty and championships with Tristan. So, we all know what it feels like to win regular games. So our next step is to win the Eastern Conference Finals and go to the finals. So, regular season is super cool. It's like a ramp up for what we're trying to get to. So, yeah, if we're on that pace, try to keep winning games. Like I said, it's nothing you take for granted. We'll take it for sure. We'll love it, but our next step is to win playoff games and get to the next rounds and get to the East Conference Finals. So I think that's where we're looking forward to, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
All right. I know this episode was a little bit different for what we've done before. So for listeners that want to contribute to a survey about the podcast and give your feedback on what you thought about what I did in today's episode, you can go to tinyurl.com/WGpod. That's tinyurl.com/WGpod. Let me know what you think. Let me know if when I do more solo episodes, this is what you want. And also answer some of the other questions that are on that survey about how we can improve this podcast for you guys. It's 2025. Let's get bigger. Let's get better. Let's do it together. So with that being said, that'll wrap up today's episode of the Wine and Gold Talk podcast. But remember to become a Cavs Insider and interact with Chris, me, and Jimmy by subscribing to Subtext. This is where you can send in your questions for the weekly Hey Chris. This is where you can get daily updates about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Even on practice days, we'll send information directly to your phone that you can get that sometimes won't get posted on social media. So sign up for a 14-day free trial or visit cleveland.com/Cavs and click on the blue bar at the top of the page. If you don't like it, that's fine. All you have to do is text the word stop. It's easy. But we can tell you that the people who sign up stick around, because this is the best way to get insider coverage on the Cavs from me, Chris, and Jimmy. This isn't just our podcast, it's your podcast. And the only way to have your voice heard is through Subtext. Y'all be safe. We out.